Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do our March the 1st, just for today, in a meditation. I hope you're doing well this morning. The title of the meditation for March 1st is Anxiety Attack. The power that brought us to this program is still with us and will continue to guide us if we allow it. That comes from our basic text, page 27. Ever had a panic attack? Everywhere we turn, life's demands overwhelm us. We're paralyzed and we don't know what to do about it. How do we break an anxiety attack? First, we stop. We can't deal with everything at once, so we stop for a moment to let things settle. Then we take a spot inventory of the things that are bothering us. We examine each item, asking ourselves this question: how important is it really? In most cases, we'll find that most of our fears and concerns don't need our immediate attention. We can put those aside and focus on the issues that really need to be resolved right away. Then we stop again and ask ourselves, who's in control here anyway? This helps remind us that our higher power is in control. We seek our higher power's will for the situation, whatever it is. We can do this in any number of ways: through prayer, talks with our sponsor or NA friends, or by attending a meeting and asking others to share their experience. When our higher power's will becomes clear to us, we pray for the ability to carry it out. Finally, we take action. Anxiety attacks need not paralyze us. We can utilize the resources of the NA program to deal with anything that comes our way. Just for today, my higher power has not brought me all this way in recovery only to abandon me. When anxiety strikes, I will take specific steps to seek God's continuing care and guidance. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. What a marvelous meditation, talking about anxiety attacks, right? The reason why I feel like this meditation is powerful because it goes through the process of an individual having anxiety attacks, precisely what the mind is doing and what it's going through, what the body is sensing. In the sense that we're in recovery, I believe that we all can relate to anxiety attacks or anxiety. And the fear can be paralyzing, true enough. I've been there. I can't tell you how many times I've had anxiety attacks and just completely shut down because whatever was going on was completely overwhelming. I've been paralyzed literally with fear before and have had to motion for someone to come get me from where I was at because the fear was paralyzing. And I'm talking about being clean and going through this. I'm not talking about drug-induced behavior. I'm talking about something that is a part of who I am, with or without the drugs. So I like this meditation. But what I really like about it, I'll show you. what I really like about this meditation. Can you see that? Right here, I've highlighted it. It keeps popping out, but then we stop again and ask ourselves, who's in control here anyway? This reminds us that our higher power is in control, right? It helps to remind us that. That's what I like the most, because there's so many times. Now, I don't know if you can relate or not, but I'm assuming if you are in recovery, you can relate to this. There's so many times of feeling, and in this situation, anxiety, a feeling would come over us, and our solution in our best thinking, you've heard it said, right? Our best thinking got us here, right? NNA. There were so many times that anxiety would overwhelm us, overcome us. And in our thinking, the thought was, I need something to calm down. I need the next one. I need a hit. I need a drink. I need, right? We turn to drugs to relax us, right? To help with that anxiety, only to find out that the anxiety would come back as soon as the dope would wear off. It'd come right back, and we need something else. We're always chasing the next one. And if you're like me, my anxiety had a lot to do with my drug of choice. I don't know about you. I can just talk for myself, right? So that meant that I had to have my drug of choice close by at all times, even in places that you would typically say are highly inappropriate, right? Because that is what we do. But today, in recovery and being clean, when the anxiety hits me, I have this one question: who's in control here anyway? To help me. And it helps me refocus. Because if I truly have a God of my own understanding that is loving and caring, some of us have not gotten there yet. And so I would imagine that when anxiety hits you, it's a rat race for you to try to figure out what you need to do. And using drugs is not the solution. See, there's far more benefits to having a higher power, a God of your own understanding that is loving and caring. There's far more benefits to having that than just a discussion about it, right? And so when I process that question, I could automatically, just even talking, I've had high blood pressure here since last night, right? And just even talking about the God of my understanding, talking about anxiety, right? I can feel myself internally start to relax. I can feel the headache, the pressure behind my eyes starting to drop down, because that is my go-to. Who is in control? Anyway, why are you worried about this, that, and the other? And you have a source, which is the absolute resource for everything that I could ever need or want. Why are you so pressured about something that you physically have absolutely no control about? Why do you talk about the serenity prayer and you say the serenity prayer and you act like you live the serenity prayer, but you still are worried about fixed, managing, and control? Why, Mighty Stream? Could it be that you still have a reservation about how much power you actually have? That's why this question helps me. This is why this particular question makes me better. It makes my blood pressure start to go down, and I can feel the difference. Oh, the amlodipine, that helps. Taking that regularly, that helps. Per the doctor's prescription, that does help. But I can tell you that the difference of doing that compared to just taking myself through the steps of who has the power, where is the control, who has that, and releasing that. Not just saying the serenity prayer, but actually living that. I can tell you, as long as I've been talking to you, I have not felt that pressure behind my eyes. You know, and this is what I'm talking about to the newcomer and anybody else. There's a whole lot of difference between talking about it and being about it. And it doesn't matter how much clean time you have. You may have more practice with more clean time of being able to apply the spiritual principle of surrender. But believe me, it doesn't matter how much clean time you have, you are going to have to experience resurrendering on a day-to-day basis, sometimes minute to minute, sometimes hour to hour. And you are the person, I am the person that needs to know how much deeper my level of surrender needs to go in any given situation. I want you to really think about that today. I need for you to really think about that today. Because if you cannot look at your own life circumstances and analyze them with the truth, not some made up narrative that you tell to everybody else, but with the truth about what you're dealing with. If you cannot analyze it and you cannot come up with an understanding about how much deeper your surrender needs to go to the God of your understanding, I don't know who else can do it. I'm the only one in charge of how much or how deep my surrender goes. I can be rebellious. The basic text tells us we need not lose faith when we become rebellious. Right? So we all experience being rebellious. And basically, what is that? That means that I know what to do and I don't do it. I choose not to do it. I choose not to surrender certain situations, certain people, certain things. I do that to me. And so I am also the one in any given situation, right? In the essence of the 11th step, through prayer and meditation, ask for knowledge of my God's will, right? In the power and the strength to carry that out. In the essence of the 11th step, I am the one that is able to determine how much deeper of a surrender I need. You know, since I've been in recovery, I'm going to tell you something, and I hope you take this the right way because I truly mean it with good intentions. Since I've been in recovery, and not to brag or boast, there's been very few experiences where I surrendered to the wrong thing. Very few. That doesn't mean that I didn't have them, right? And what I'm saying is that I surrendered to something that I thought I needed to surrender to, and it ended up biting me in the butt, right? There's very few instances that my deeper surrender caused me pain and trouble that I later learned I was missing the interpretation of the signs that I was seeing, right? I was misreading someone's character. There's very few. And the majority of all of those that ended up hurting me, those levels of surrenders that actually did not work out in my favor, took place in my first several years of recovery. And the reason that I was so off the mark was because I was in and out of relationships with a sponsor, meaning I didn't have a sponsor that I kept longer than however long it took for them to get on my nerves. And so I really didn't have anyone in the beginning that I trusted that I could actually take my mess to and get feedback on. I was in self-will, in other words, even in the surrender. I was actually, my motives weren't right, and I was doing what I wanted to do, what I thought was best. And then I paid the price. But what I can say to you, I can honestly say to you that in these latter years, this latter decade, right, of recovery. Yeah, because I got here in 93 and my clean date has not changed, thank goodness. But in this last decade, I have had, I can count maybe on 2 fingers, right? On one hand, I can count when I surrendered and I read the signals wrong. I can count on 2 fingers. And I, like I say, I mean this in the best way possible, that if you're out there and you're struggling, you're absolutely struggling with a surrender that you've made, and it's causing you pain, it's causing you trouble, you have the power, you have the absolute human right to reconsider the decision that you've made and make a different one. We don't have to live in anxiety today. Hopefully, the majority of the people here, all, have a higher power, and they know that their higher power is in control, and that takes the weight off of you. Takes the weight. It doesn't mean that you don't have something still to do. Doesn't mean that you won't have a surrender, but it means that some of the stuff that we're running races around, right? That we keep going around in circles over, it can stop. That pain and that agony can stop right now. That loss of time, that loss of energy, that loss of connectedness and trust and relationship, it can all stop right now. There is nothing worse than doing something that you don't really want to do, or doing something that you said that you would do and you found out that you shouldn't have said that you would do it. And so because you're trying to be integral and keep your word, you're paying a higher price than what you have in the bank to pay. See, my higher power doesn't operate like that, and nor do I think yours does, right? So I'm just saying today, I want you really thinking about anxiety attacks and what brings on your anxiety, and how quickly do you surrender to your higher power when you find yourself mid-anxiety attack. Or how about this? Let's take the word anxiety attack out. Mid-emotional upheaval. How about that? When you're in the midst of an emotional upheaval, how quick do you turn it over? And that's the question. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.